All right, Clint from the doorway too, hanging out with Jukka from Throat. Uh, kind of excited to do this, man. Your new record really kind of impresses the hell out of me right now. I've been listening to quite a bit, so I appreciate you doing this with me.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you
Hey,
very
not a
much.
problem.
Glad to be
Uh,
here.
oh yeah, trust me. So am I. I've literally been listening to the record probably nonstop for like 5 or 6 days now, just because I've been really waiting to do this interview. So
Nice.
Uh, yeah, it's cool. So I kind of want to just talk a little bit about the past first, because it's easier to
Hmm.
go backwards than jump into forward and then go backwards. Uh,
Sure.
so I'm going to pay a little homage to you because I think you're the right person. I just want to make sure. I could maybe be completely wrong. Uh, but you founded Chaos Control Records, correct?
Yep, that's me.
All right. So I've loved that label for many years, my friend. And I just wanted to tell you, like, that is the mixture of weird electronics, noise, and doom that's come off of that label has
Hmm.
been a staple in my heart for a very long time. So
Oh,
I
thank you.
want to say, yeah, I want to say thank you for that, first of all. Um, so I kind of want to go that way. So the earlier stuff and the first couple records that you did were all on your own label, correct? Like the 7 inches and the first few releases and things like that.
Um, I think I was part of releasing them with
Okay.
a few other labels.
Okay.
Like, mm, let me think. I think the first ones were 7 inches. Not all of them came out on Chaos Control, but like the leaked inch for 12
Yeah.
inch, we had like I think 3 or 4 labels doing it.
Yeah.
Mostly,
I saw there was a bunch of split release for those
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things.
It was mostly like we wanted to have like 1 or 2 labels from Finland and one from the US and one from France and stuff like
Makes
that. So
sense.
we would get like the best distribution that we could
Sure.
for like a small DIY release.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Hmm.
complete sense. So I'm not going to talk so much about the singles or the early days. I'm going to start with Manhole because that's the first real record that I kind of dug into about
Right.
2 weeks ago after I heard Smile Less and kind of went from there.
That's
So,
different.
so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about right now. So
Uh-huh.
Manhole coming back in 2013. Uh, that is probably excuse me, your most pissed off noisy record, I'm going to say, out of them all.
Yeah.
Uh, so it reminds me a lot of that old touch and go and rep kind of vibe going on. There's a lot of like, and if I'm wrong, just tell me. I'm totally good with this. But there's like a lot of like swans and Jesus Lizard kind of influences and elements in that first early record to me, and a lot of Killing Joke to me. Like I don't know, maybe it's just your vocals the way they are, but
Hmm.
Jazz Coleman's voice kind of, I feel like sometimes you are just like bringing him out to the forefront, which is a very cool thing because I'm a huge Killing Joke fan.
Right.
Um, but I kind of want to talk about that. When you first kind of decided to put this true album out, not singles or splits or anything like that,
Hmm.
uh, were you completely and utterly inspired by that touch and go and rep kind of vibe?
Sure. I mean, 100%. But I gotta say that um, with Manhole, Swans, and Killing Joke, and what was the third one you
Jesus
mentioned?
Lizard.
Jesus Lizard. None of them were actually like things that inspired us. I mean, mm, it's kind of funny because, well, in a way, they they have inspired us, and in a way, they haven't. I mean, like with the whole noise rock thing, Jesus Lizard is the band that
Yeah.
like everyone compares everything to. And to be honest, they've never been that important to me. I mean, I love the band, but like compared to bands like, well, Unsane
Yeah.
and, well, Hammerhead, Tar, Tad, all of these bands. Those are the bands that like we looked up to like around that time, among like tons of other
Sure.
bands like what comes to mind when I think of Manhole, Drunk Driver, like a bit of that like newer
Yeah.
stuff, and actually a lot of at that time I remember listening to a lot of French 90s noise
Mm.
rock, and those were the bands. And Distorted Pony is one band that never gets enough love from, well, anyone, but they should. And
No, I don't
that's,
disagree.
yeah, and that's a lot more important band to us compared to Jesus Lizard and Killing Joke. Yeah, we've been listening to Killing Joke like forever,
Mm.
but um, I don't think that was an influence
Sure.
back in those days.
So that's kind of funny because what you were just talking about is going to bring me into the next record, Bareback, because I was
Mm.
about to mention some of the bands that you just mentioned on what I actually heard. So this is more where I kind of feel like the sound of Smile Less was incubated. And
Yeah.
and so this is more of a post-punk meets noise record to me, where the first one is just kind of more of a harsh noise with a with kind of an just an 80s kind of cold vibe to it. Like that's
Hmm.
kind of what the original one. So when you just mentioned bands like uh Hammerhead. I was gonna say like the Cows
Hmm.
were like that. I was gonna I was gonna also say Killdozer and things like that.
Yeah.
Where like when I listen to Bareback, that's what I hear. I
Hmm.
hear that very mid '90s, extremely almost metallic, but noise rock pissed off kind of sound.
Yeah.
So that's what I hear on that one. And I wanted to ask like what between those 5 years, and it's a drastic different sound. So I can see people liking Manhole and hating Bareback, or hating Bareback and loving Manhole, because it's not even it's almost two different bands.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when we did Manhole, I think we reached the point with our like the noise rock sound
Mm-hmm.
that we couldn't like go further from that anymore. I mean, to make it more extreme or whatever, and that was not our intention anyway. And then in between Manhole and Bareback, we did at least the Short Circuit, um, 12-inch with 6 songs or something like that. And I think we had a bunch of um, new stuff or new kinds of sounds and whatever on that one as well. And that was definitely like a step forward
Sure.
to towards like Bareback. And well, well, lost my
It's okay.
what I was thinking about. But yeah, well, the whole thing like between Manhole and Bareback, we after Short Circuit, we parted ways with our old bass player, and we got a new one, and he brought a lot of like a different kind of vibe to the band, and we already when he came to the band, we already had like a few songs written for Bareback, and it was already like sounding a bit different with a lot of like, I'm not sure about that post-punk influence for Bareback, but at least like post-hardcore, like old Jawbox and Quicksand
Sure.
and that kind of 90s, a bit more melodic style.
Cool.
So that was something that we wanted to try out and incorporate with our sound.
Nice. Yeah. I can hear the jaw box for sure. There's
Hmm.
definitely, especially in the bass playing, you can hear the jaw box a lot.
Yeah.
It has that very kind of early Discord kind of bass lines going on, which is super
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it reminds me of Lungfish and Discord and stuff
Hmm.
like that a lot, where it's that very monotone bass, but it works so well with the
Yeah.
overall tones. Cool.
Yeah. We
Um,
love that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So let's go into Smile Less because this is kind of if you started like I did with Smile Less,
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to digest the first two records because this one is such a different beast. This is now take this with an absolute pride because I'm saying this because I love what you did. You may not think you did this, but in my mind, this is what I hear. You mixed the best elements of 90s indie rock, post punk, and noise into something that just became magical to me. And when I heard it, it reminded me of I lived on the East Coast of the United States at
Hmm.
that point in time, and I was playing in a lot of hardcore and kind of like noise rock stuff at that time,
Cool.
and it reminded me like going to shows and seeing Sonic Youth and
Nice.
seeing like and see and seeing that kind of stuff like Sebado and things like that
Hmm.
when they were super goddamn noisy but yet an indie rock band, and there'd be 50 people when they started and then 12 people when they finished because people couldn't wrap their heads around like, wait,
Yeah.
why is there this jangly rock song and now there's this noise beast? The band that you remind me the most of, like, and I'm gonna say this, I, I almost feel like these two bands are having a fist fight, and it kind of sounds like this for you. I am gonna say uh, Daughters meets Nick Cave. Like this is what it kind of reminds me of.
Hmm.
At times, there is such a Nick Caves and a Bad Seed kind of vibe that's going on this record, and at other times, you remind me of like mid-period Daughters, like
Hmm.
right before they broke up and came back and did their whole thing, like when it was so fucking frantic that like it was
Right.
just it was beautiful. So 2021, 2013, we're talking a huge gap of time between
Hmm.
records from the first one to this one. What changed the influences and sounds so much from record one to record three, where I wouldn't say it's more commercially accessible. I would just say you've added more melody and more kind of cold melody tones to it. Like what brought you to this point?
Um, well, I gotta take you back to when we started the band. Me and Alexis, the second guitar player, started it, and we we had like this idea of a like a more it was more like a grunge band.
Okay.
I mean, we spent like a lot of evenings drinking beer and watching 90s videos from YouTube, and it was mostly like Soundgarden and Tad
Sure.
and Paul and a lot of that stuff. But it was kind of obvious that we when we started writing the first songs, we didn't have like, maybe we had the vision already back then, but we didn't have like the chops.
Gotcha.
So we like constantly have been going towards that first like idea of this band, and it's been evolving all this time. But when it comes to Smile Less, I think we already like before Bareback, we decided that with the short circuit 12-inch, we had taken like that noise rock sound we had to where we could take it, and there was no point in trying to keep up with or like stick to that one genre of music. And we've always been listening to all kinds of different music, so it would be dumb to like limit ourselves and our sound and influences. So with Bareback, we just wrote what came out, and that kind of kick-started sort of a change within the band and the sound. And when we got to Smile Less, I think it was more like can do whatever, and all the songs that came out were pretty much that was it. We felt that all right, this type of stuff is coming out, so we'll do it. So cool. And if you know the people who got into us with Manhole or whatever, and if they like it, that's nice. But if they don't like it, that's fine with us.
It's better for me. It makes a more personal record for me. That's all I'm saying. Like it does.
That's cool.
Yeah, because Smile Less to me is like, again, the culmination of just great indie rock, great noise rock, and great kind of like post-hardcore, post-punk all mixed together. And you mentioned Paw, and it's really funny because Dragline is one of my favorite records of all time. Like literally one of like that song. Whenever I hear that song, Jesse, like it breaks my heart that I know that I know it's about his dog, and like I just like it kills me, dude. Like I actually got to see him like about 20 years ago. And I got to talk to the singer about that song, which was so awesome. And I was like, did the dog actually die? Like, I'm like, could you just like, was it your dog? Cause like that song breaks my heart every time I listen to that song. And he's like, yeah, it was my dog. And he goes, it was heartfelt. And he goes, I sing that cause that's like real pain inside. And I was like, yeah. So no, like you're awesome that you said that, because Paul and Tad, I definitely hear in what you do. And the reason why I hear Tad a lot is Tad's almost like, I don't know. I've met him twice, and he's a really genuine, cool dude, but he's broken inside. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like legitimately, he's broken inside, and that's what I hear in your music. Like it's a bunch of guys that you can actually feel when it's happiness versus pain. Like in the tracks, you can literally hear it, especially in your vocals. You could tell when the song's supposed to be pissed off versus not pissed off. And that's I think what draws me to Smile Less mostly out of all these records. And I kind of wanted to ask, I'm going to jump into kind of a different direction. So Finland in itself has this really unique sound. And it doesn't matter what style of music it is. It could be doom metal. It could be punk. It could be 60s retro. But you guys have this very distant kind of feeling in your music. Like the guitar tones, the way the vocals are, it feels very otherworldly. And I wanted to kind of ask, like, is that something that just is from living in a place that half the year is dark, half the year is light? Is it because it's so cold most of the time? And I mean, honestly, I know you don't really have summers in the way that most people have summer. So
Oh, we
does that
do.
kind?
We do.
No, but I mean, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It's 112
Oh
degrees.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
You don't,
that's different. Yeah,
you don't have that, all right?
yeah.
And there's nothing like that there. So the desert rock thing that comes here, I feel like is very much a thing because it only happens here. Uh, that Finnish kind of distant, cold tone. Now, most Finnish people I met, like you, even like yourself, are the friendliest goddamn people in the world, and people
Hmm.
have this really weird misconception that you're not verbal, that you're very silent, that you don't talk, and everything I've gotten has been bullshit on that side. Okay,
Right.
um, but do you feel that Finland adds a special element to the bands that are there that other bands just can't have?
Well, that's that's impossible for a Finn to say. I mean, yeah, we get that a lot, and I see that mentioned everywhere, like with all Finnish bands, that it's a sound that couldn't come from anywhere else. I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm sure it has like some kind of truth to it, because I mean, like, well, where we haven't been like totally secluded.
Yeah,
Like we know what's going on with the music world,
sure.
and band what bands are happening and things like that. But it's I think it's like it's only been like the last maybe two decades, like 20 years, or well, maybe more.
Yeah,
I might be talking shit, but maybe like 20 years since we really started to get a lot of bands from other countries like to play in Finland. Like in the 90s, it was like a rare occasion when we had like a band from the US come to Finland. And now there's, well, not now
yeah,
obviously, but like in normal circumstances, we'd have like 10 US bands playing in
yeah.
Helsinki like in a week or something like that. So I think that's changed the whole thing a lot. And so basically what I'm talking about is the influences that came before that whole, we could start experiencing like
Yeah.
international artists in Finland, was that we had to kind of make up the like how would they sound if they
Yeah.
did this, and that's kind of the tradition that comes to maybe for us as well. I mean, um, I haven't seen, you know, Jawbox or
Sure, sure.
Sonic Youth in the 90s or whatever. So that's kind of the
Yeah,
thing
well,
that we.
unfortunately, I lived 3 miles from like that whole scene, so I got the
Right,
like
yeah.
I got the yeah I got the like literally um I lived a block from where Sonic Youth practiced. So like I
Cool.
knew Kim Deal and Thurston Moore because I'd see him going to the grocery store with me and like I'd be like,
Right.
it was just a different world. And then those bands like Jawbox, they just came because like they were friends with Sonic Youth. So they would come
Hmm.
and play like 10 shows with them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
so it's just a different world. What I kind of was thinking, and maybe I'm crazy too on this, but maybe it's just because as Scandinavia as a whole, I've always felt like Finland has that more Slavic kind of mentality,
Hmm.
where the rest of it is not Slavic at all. It's very
Yeah.
Viking-esque. It's very more, you know, old school European. And
Hmm.
I feel like those old traditions that you guys have that are thousands of years older than anybody else's in kind of
Yeah.
Scandinavia may have something to do with that tone, that feeling, uh, because there's an isolationism to it that just
Hmm.
really works well. And it works well for the bands. And I mean, I'm a huge Doom Death fan, so I'm like there's so many bands from Finland that I just like. Thurgathon, Skepticism, DeLorean. Like, there's just so many bands that like I cling on to because they have
Unholy.
that. Yeah, Unholy. You happened to do one of them a long time ago too, but I'm not going to say anything about that. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of but they all have a very similar tone. And then again, in the punk rock side, they have a very, they don't have that 70s UK sound. They have their
Yeah.
very own kind of post-punk kind of vibe that's
Hmm.
super cool. So no, I just wanted to say like thank you for that because I feel like a lot of those elements in Smile Less shine through.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I really haven't thought about that. Like, not at all. But I think yeah, you're probably right.
Cool.
I mean,
No, that's
it's well, Finland isn't really a part of Scandinavia
yeah, I know.
anyway. So it's and we're connected to Russia. So a lot of that like tone probably comes more from there,
Yeah.
and it's pretty. It can be dark.
At times it can be. I don't
Yeah.
disagree. So I guess the next thing I'm going to kind of ask is, I've since I've never been able to see you live,
Hmm.
how does the records versus live differ for a band like Throat? I mean, I've got to see some YouTube videos, like, but they're not really great quality to be able
Yeah.
to be able to hear you live. So I kind of like how do you differ on a stage versus going in and recording a record?
Um, it 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 depends. I mean, like, well, we haven't been able to play. We played like one show where we played some of the Smile Less songs. So, and those were the ones that we could play
Hmm.
easy, at that point. And that was actually before we went to the studio. Uh, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do with the
Gotcha.
songs live, like from this record. But um, usually it's it's kind of I think we just put as much energy into it as possible, and I think we can most of the like up to bareback the material we can pull off
Hmm.
pretty easily. I mean, like we did Smile Less. Like the basic tracks are recorded live in the studio with the whole band playing, so it's not like done separately or anything like that. So it's kind of close to how we'll be doing it live as well. But of course, there's stuff that's been added on there to make it like a proper record instead of a live record. So we'll make it happen, but
Gotcha.
it's a bit like the live thing is it's more of like it's more energetic and more it's a bit more nasty and
Yeah, I would expect it to be more frantic for sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot more dirty.
Cool. Awesome. So I like to ask this question to every band, so I'm going to ask it to you, and I kind of want to see what your thoughts are. So let's say you're in a record store. Yeah, I'm an old dude. That's my world. I go into record
Me
stores, and
too.
I know, and I love to look at album covers. And 9 times out of 10, sometimes I'll buy. Well, actually, no, 9 times out of 10, I will buy a record that I may never even heard before, just because the artwork interests me,
Mhm.
and it may be in a section that I've never would have bought something from before, because it just says alternative rock, because everything in the world now has the damn title of alternative rock on it, like,
Yeah.
yeah. But so if you were in a record store, and let's say some kid came up to you and showed you your record Smile Less, and he said to you, hey, have you heard this band before? What's it like? How would you explain that record to someone that's never heard your band before?
Wow. Ah, I'd say don't buy it. It's a morbid angel or something.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Uh,
Uh, how
I don't know. I mean, that's
would you explain it to someone?
um, wow. That's difficult. I mean, I'm the worst at like describing my own music.
It's okay. If you
Yeah,
can't do it, that's fine. I just was wondering how you would say it.
yeah. I mean, it's well, for me, I think it's like I still feel it. It's like noise rock,
Yeah.
and it can be moody or like even melodic or whatever, but it's I'm kind of trying to think of the dumb descriptions we've
Yeah,
given
you
in
don't,
the
yeah,
past.
you don't need to give other people's nod. No, but yeah, I agree. It's still noise rock, but in my opinion, it's probably the least noise rock record you have out of all three.
Hmm.
It's the most diverse out of all of them.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
really,
yeah, it's I mean, it's like when you think of noise rock as a like a strict genre, then it's probably the least noise rock. But I've never thought of noise rock as a strict genre. I
oh
mean,
no, no.
I've always thought of it as something that the bands can do pretty much whatever,
Oh no, I
and
agree.
that's what we like identify with. I mean, a lot of people say the Melvins are noise rock, but what's that? I mean, they've done tons of different styles and whatever, and they've done like a Beach Boys cover.
Right. You can't pigeonhole the Melvins. They've done everything
Right?
from
Yeah.
from pop songs to noise rock to doom to, I
Hmm.
mean, they have dancey elements in some of their songs. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
and
yeah,
they
no, I agree.
did like a collaboration with Lost Mort
Right.
and and so that's pretty much, you know, that's the noise rock we're doing. I mean, there's no,
That I fully agree. I
yeah,
fully agree with that. That's a great definition. Like if you want
yeah.
to say we are the Melvins of noise rock, I totally agree with you.
You said that. I didn't.
I I just said it. You are absolutely that because you're diverse. That's a
Hmm.
good thing. And no, that's you don't have to say it. I just did. See, there you go. But so awesome. So I kind of want to talk about how you got connected with Svart. Because they're one of my favorite labels currently. And they're probably my favorite label, not for the heavy stuff, but for
Right.
the really weird ass, like eclectic folk and 60s style rock stuff that they do.
Hmm.
Um, I am I am a uber super fan of like Jess and the Ancient Ones and stuff like that. Like it's
Uh-huh.
just like I hear that stuff and I don't know why it draws to me, but it does. Like I loved like those early like Beast Milk records and stuff
Right.
like that. You know, like I just like and then they do that crazy noise rock stuff and they do crazy metal stuff. I like how did you I know you're from Finland and I know that you're all kind of it's a small nation, but how did you decide that that was the perfect home for you?
Well, funny thing, I work for Sword Records.
I know you do. That's why I was asking this
Yeah.
question.
So, um, it was kind of, well, it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I worked there, so we did it like a demo for the bareback songs at some point, and I played it to the guys at the label, and they were like, "Okay, let's do it." So that was pretty much it. And I mean, there's in Finland, there's no other label that would have the same distribution
Mhm.
or like the just basically the name around the world. So
No, it's an impressive record label, and I knew you
mhm.
worked there, and that's kind of why I was
Yeah.
asking that question because I that brings me to the next question. Does it feel odd to work at the same place that you are an artist on? Is that kind of a weird kind of dichotomy? Because I mean, I've run my own indie labels too, and
Hmm.
ironically, we kind of have a little bond here because I'm signed to Aesthetic Death in the UK right now. So,
Mm.
like I said, so
Oh,
I have
cool.
a record coming out June 25th on their label, and another record coming out in February. So, like, but
You gotta
anyway,
say hi
yeah.
to Stu for me.
I talk to Stu all the time, and I will tell
Cool.
him hello. You got it.
Yeah.
Not. I actually talked to Stu
Haven't
last
talked to
night,
him
so
in years.
yeah, I will tell Stu hello because I had literally talked to him last night. But still,
Nice. Yeah.
but I kind of wanted to ask that: is it a weird kind of feeling to be working at the label and then also being on a label?
Not really. I
Cool.
mean, it's like I'm like the type that wants to keep like everything, all the control with the release and the band and the stuff like that. And so I think, I guess that's why most of our records have been released on my label, so I can be fully in charge of the like artwork and whatever.
I figured.
So yeah, so it's it's been pretty much the same with Throat and working with Svart as well,
Gotcha.
but it's just someone else is paying for
I get you.
it.
No, that makes complete sense. Um, so I guess I'm gonna ask this question, and I kind of would. I know you're the kind of guy that doesn't really like to self promote or kind of talk too much about other than like about music.
Mm-hmm.
But if so, you've done a whole lot of different styles of music. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is you've done from droning doom to noise rock to kind of experimental kind of stuff that I've seen.
Oh, me,
Yeah,
like personally, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, do all the styles that you've worked on influence throat now, or do you feel like the past is the past and I just, whatever happens is going to be today? I just really kind of wonder if like the old stuff that you've done that wasn't throat or was a very different genre and style, does it influence your thinking of what throat songs are going to be like?
Absolutely, it
Okay.
influences. So, I mean, it would be stupid to say that stuff that I've done in the past doesn't influence what I'm doing now. I mean, that would be that would be
That's
weird. Of course it does. But it's um, I'm not sure if it. I think it probably has more to do these days with the whole like how to do it, like the whole band thing,
yeah.
like the maybe the how you say that, like the chemistry thing or stuff like that that I've learned from previous projects or things like that. I mean, it's not that much about that music. Of course, I mean, I'm still not a good good guitar player, so pretty much
None of us are. Don't worry about that.
so pretty much the stuff I've learned from previous bands is like that's the skills I have still. So
We play noisy, aggressive music because we're not good guitar players. Let's be honest.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
love yeah we love to have that kind of imperfection in our music. That
Hmm.
kind of makes it special. I'm just gonna like
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
Hmm.
Um, cool. So my last question to you is going to be another one that you're just going to stare at me, and I'm ready. I'm ready for it, but it's going to be awesome. So if Smile Less has just been finished. Okay, you literally were just handed it. Is there anybody that you would want to hand this record to be able to rework things, redo things? Is there anybody that you think could add something to Smile Less to make it something even more special than it is?
Mm, I'm not don't want to say that anyone could make it anything more special than it
Okay.
is. But I mean, like we did with the Bareback, we did like a double CD remix
Mm-hmm.
version of it with a lot of like industrial and harsh noise artists who kind of not really remixed it, but they kind of reworked it.
Yeah.
Like we gave them the studio tracks and they did whatever they wanted to do with it. So that kind of thing would be really nice to do with Smile S as well. And
I was wondering about that if you wanted to do another one of those like reworking records because I love that.
yeah,
I
I'm not
love
sure
I
if we're gonna do it, but
because
it
I
would be
love that
really
Barebacks remix. Like that's
yeah,
great. Like you listen to those songs and they don't even sound like the same song. It's like
yeah, yeah.
it's so cool.
Hmm. I mean, like there's like always artists that we'd like to work with. Like like getting a remix from Justin Brodrick or well,
No,
the
I get
guys from Over or who can I think about? Well, that's probably enough. But I mean, anyone
those.
who has a cool, different take on our stuff would be nice to hear. I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll do it, but
Very cool.
I don't think we'll do a double CD of remixes because that was a lot of work.
I'm sure it was. I mean, now don't get me wrong. You know, if Justin wants to put like a Yezu kind of style remix
Mhm.
together on one of your songs, I would never not want to hear that. Or
Yeah,
if Over wanted to do like more of their electronic kind of stuff on top, yeah, that would be awesome to hear.
right.
Don't get me wrong. Like that would be cool. But on that note, I'm gonna kind of like give you the next couple of minutes to just talk about Throat. Like I know because of this damn pandemic that everybody's been locked down and can't do much of anything, but I feel like maybe things are going to start getting better now. So let's hope.
Hmm.
Um, like for the next 6 months to a year, like what do you want to do with Throat? Are you going to just write new music? Or are you going to try and play live? Like what's the game plan?
Right now, we're pretty much waiting.
Okay.
So, well, we're writing. I mean, I'm doing this interview at our practice space. So I'm writing new music tonight, and we're doing it all the time. And we already have some stuff not like completed, but in the works. And I think we have like 2 shows in Finland for August
Nice.
booked, but we'll see what happens. And but we're really not in a hurry. I mean, there's been these these restrictions with group gatherings, and so you can like organize a gig with half 50% capacity, and you have to keep like safety distance and whatever, and that's we're not really into playing that kind of shows. I
That
mean,
makes sense.
that's kind of like an anti rock show. I mean,
I'm totally with you on it. No, I don't
yeah.
disagree at all. They have these weird restrictions here too, where it's got to be either outdoors or
Hmm.
25% capacity. And some of these
Yeah.
venues that you play only hold 100 people. So
Right. Yeah.
having 20 people in a room just really isn't a show. It's not. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's not the same.
Yeah. I mean, we're- I mean, shows for me are the place where you can like where you experience the music and you experience it the way you want to,
Right.
and you react to it the way you want to. And when someone says that no, you can't do that, you have to sit in that table and keep a like a 2 meters away from the
Yeah.
next guy. I mean, that's it's not for me.
No,
And
it's not.
we really don't want to play that kind of shows. If things don't work out and those are the only kind of shows we can play, then let's see. But I hope not.
I hope not either. Trust me, I don't. But I was gonna say, yeah, it's not just about the band; it's about the crowd too. Like the crowd
Yeah,
plays such a part of a live show.
Mhm.
And if they're into it and you're arm in arms with some guy you don't know just because you're like both fans of that music, that's an experience that you just can't get, like you just said, 2 meters apart from each other.
Yeah.
It does, singing along, screaming to your favorite band, like that's kind of
Mhm.
like that's what you want. But no, awesome.
Yeah, and that's always like an interaction between the band and the crowd. Whatever, I mean, in
Yeah.
Finland we don't have like really energetic crowds. They're mostly like staring at us. But still there's like tension and stuff
Yeah.
you can pull from that, but not if they're sitting at a table and
Yeah.
like
Cool.
drinking that one beer that they're allowed to be drinking in.
Right. Yeah. Too many rules now.
Yeah.
Um, so like I'm gonna just say, man, thank you so much for doing this. I fully
Thank you.
appreciate it. I will hype up the record the best I can.
Cool.
I will put links to where you can get it as well. Again, Clint from the Doorway too, hanging out with Yuka from Throat. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. And if you ever do come to the U.S., I will definitely be there. We will hang out. We will have a beer together, and we will talk about crazy
We'll
underground
have
music.
two
Uh,
or
We'll have
three.
three. Absolutely, buddy. Thank you so very much again. You have a great night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Bye.
Thanks.